First things first, Leif. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
Right on.
So before we talk about your new record, I'd like to jump back to the beginning quickly.
Uh-huh.
You were born in Ottawa, I believe.
Yeah.
And you live in Montreal.
Yeah.
But then there's a couple of mentions of Vancouver. So
Oh, yeah.
What place does Vancouver hold for you?
It's a funny place. I don't know. Vancouver's kind of, it's so far away. You know, when you're in Canada, Vancouver is kind of the other side of the world. And but for me, whenever I go on tour, there's like a certain feeling that you have in the Pacific Northwest, kind of in the Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver to a certain extent as well.
Right.
And so for some reason they all kind of, if you go to any of those places, the other ones aren't too far away, and and it kind of, there's something very green, and the air smells amazing, and there's just kind of a certain freedom that people have there that I don't have. And I don't want it either, but but they have it, and it's nice. It's nice to spend time there and feel it. It's hard to explain.
Freedom in what sense then?
I don't know. There's something that I think there's a great extent. There's a great freedom that I think happened when, I don't mean politically, but just like when people went to North America and started fucking shit up there. But there's not so much. There's not a lot of weight. In terms of history, or maybe just even like the architecture, you know? And so there's like it feels younger, you know? And then the further west you get, even the less, I don't know, you're kind of less weighed down by anything historical. Everything is kind of from the 20th century or like 19th century. And especially, you know, like Vancouver is so modern, you kind of feel like free from but not in a good or a bad way. Just like there seems to be less weight. Like in a beautiful city like this.
Right.
Not that you don't feel free, but you have a heightened awareness of, I don't know, how complex history is and tradition and all these things, and you're kind of in awe of it. Whereas in Vancouver, there's kind of nature kind of is at the center of it, and you kind of, I don't know, there's like a different feeling.
Okay.
And the roads are wider. The further west you go in Canada and America, the streets just get wider. Because they're like, yeah, lots of space, and so everything just kind of feels bigger too.
And well, you mentioned it's close to Seattle, like you say, and near Portland. Seattle, obviously, very rich music scene. So, what is it like in Vancouver?
For the music scene, I don't really know because that's what's so funny. Like I've been to Seattle more times than I've been to Vancouver almost. I'm saying that maybe about the same, but definitely to Portland more. Okay. And so it's just strange. Like if I'm out there, I'm usually south of the border. But musically, there's a folk scene there, and you know, there's like all kinds of bands. But I don't know it. Like I don't know it. Know it. Like I kind of know about Toronto. I kind of know about Montreal music scene. A little bit about the Ottawa music scene. But in Canada, things are so small that the music scene is like, you meet one band and then you kind of know, they know every other band, and then you know everybody, you know. It doesn't take long, which is nice, but also it's hard to explain. It's like, sometimes explaining a music scene in Canada, it's a very personal thing, you know. It's like where you had dinner yesterday. You know, it's not like this big, vast pool of people.
You mentioned all these places, and obviously you're from Canada, but you gig a lot of in the US, obviously. Is location an important thing for you, especially when you're writing?
I think, yeah. Well, I don't tend to. What I notice is that I don't really write when I'm away at all. But I'm away a lot of the time, and usually when I'm home, sometimes it's not long after I get back, I write songs, and then it ends up being. I'm very visual, so like I think it ends up taking place somewhere. Or I'll see something and I won't necessarily. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is beautiful, and then it comes back to me. Sometimes it's just, oh, I forgot that weird alleyway in like this city where I saw like, you know, I don't know, anything, something, nothing, garbage can, you know, and then it comes back and then something happens there in the song or whatever. And so it's like, it's nice to not otherwise I just feel like I would just see the same things. I don't really want to go into the microcosm of like, I don't want to write like 100 songs about what's going on my street in Montreal. You know,
Sure.
it's kind of nice to have like a, you know, different set. Yeah, like almost like a different set design.
But that's interesting. So does each song have its own set?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So when if we just I'm not gonna pick Vancouver time because that might be too easy. But if we take for instance Elegy.
Yeah.
That
one doesn't. That one doesn't. That's what's weird about that song.
Okay.
That one and Into the Ether, those ones are really weird to me because I don't see anything. Like I just kind of see like I just see like the color of the song, like kind of the vibe of it, and then some. But there's no locations in those songs really, except for I say Atlanta and Elegy, and I go there. I go to where I had a gig in Atlanta, and I got a flu, and I was knocked out.
Well, if we take Elegy, then where did it start?
That one was funny because it took a while. That one was a song. It came to me. I told someone else this, but I was in Montreal and I was like just biking around, and I had this melody in my head. And I had like this. It's kind of fast, and it's like a Motown beat, like. And with like a bass line, and I thought it was like a Stevie Wonder song. I thought it was maybe something off of like an early Motown Stevie Wonder song, kind of like Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours, but like it's different. And so I was like, oh, I wish I'd written a song like that. And then, I was like, oh, maybe it's my song. And then I was like, well, I don't write Motown songs. That's too bad. Like, you don't. That's weird. And so then I shelved it. And then the next day, when I went to bed that night, I was really upset because I was like, why didn't you just write it down? Why didn't you just write the song and then decide if it was not your song? Like, you know, like, can you imagine, like, you write a song, you have the melody and the beat and the bass riff, and then you go, that's not me? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But I was like, oh, it's not the style I'm supposed to be doing or something. So I actually had this weird moment where I was like, oh, I should probably write the songs that I'm writing and then find out what style I should be doing. Based on what I'm writing, not the opposite.
Well, that's quite interesting. So, before that moment, did you have a very much a vision of who you were, so to say, as an artist?
Yeah, and it was awful. It was. I didn't like it, but I was like, I guess maybe I just like I had my idols, and it seemed that everyone that I really respected, that I really liked, played acoustic guitar and sang. And if every song that they wrote, you could play on an acoustic guitar and sing it. And that was the criteria for it to be good. And like, even on paper, like if the lyrics were tight, then it's still a good song. And it wasn't about the production, it wasn't about the feel, it was about like this like, kind of like strict songwriter kind of perspective. And so at the time it didn't feel stifling, but now I'm like, oh, like it was so intense, you know? Like, so I kind of like, I thought I kind of had to just stay in this, I don't know, that tradition. Like I thought I had to like figure out what Bob Dylan hadn't finished, you know, which wasn't anything, you know. But I don't care anymore, about that.
What changed, or was it something gradual, kind of a realization?
I was 29, and I was like going to be 30, and I was like, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is what I've been doing. I've been doing it a while. Like I'm not very popular or anything, but I'd been doing it a while. And it was like, well, I was like, I don't want to keep playing these songs, and I don't want to stay in this genre. Like everything I listen to isn't that genre. Right. Like, you know, growing up, I listened to the Beatles and Radiohead. Like that was all I listened to. Okay. You know, like, and that doesn't show up in my music at all. And Motown and.
Sure.
So then I just was like, oh no, the change was that I was just like, I better start writing songs that I want to play, because I was getting jealous of other bands. Like I was getting jealous of the Killers. Okay. I saw them live and I was like, I had these little moments, like it all kind of like, it was all like very gradual, but I would see like Brandon Flowers writes amazing songs. Sure. His band maybe is a bit tight, kind of on the grid, you know, like the melodies are great and the lyrics are really subtle and really, really good a lot of the times. And he looked like he was having so much fun, and it was fun. And I was like, I remember being like, I remember saying it's too bad that when I play it's not fun.
Okay.
And it was this weird thing, and I remember being like, yeah, but my music is like serious, you know. And then I was, then it stuck with me, and I was like, oh, it'd be really, why don't I can do whatever I want. Nobody's asking me to do anything, and I'm not famous, so nobody's going to be upset if I change my style,
Right.
you know. So anyhow, so I just kind of wrote songs that were more fun, and if they were fun, I didn't not put them on the record or whatever. And they're still like not crazy.
To me, the interesting thing is then, because you say you listen to radio and you kind of grew up with those that kind of music as well. So how come kind of people like Bob Dylan and Neil Young took over your creativity in a way?
Because of lyrics.
Okay.
Because not that Radiohead don't write good lyrics. They do. But there is they don't cut me the same way as like and it was like I'd kind of avoided. I was really obsessed with, because my early, like when I was doing like 4-track recordings in high school and stuff, it sounded just like Radiohead, Coldplay rip-offs, you know, like I'd have like a slide guitar to a melody, and I'd, you know, like go under and do some like interesting chord changes and like weird, you know, time signatures, and but I didn't care about lyrics, and then I was like, got into Bob Dylan kind of late, and then I was like, oh my God, and visually, those lyrics are so powerful that there's no room to add crazy chords. Or if you do, the tempo needs to be really slow so that when you change chords, you're ready for the new lyrics. And so then I just started making the music simpler. And then that's when like just a guitar is all you need. Anything more starts getting in the way, because the lyrics are like, he's like painting a huge picture.
Sure.
Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen. So then it kind of took over because I was so uneducated in terms of lyrics. And then I think it's me coming back to being like, okay, also music feel like remembering everything.
Right.
But it's so powerful, like, you know, for me it's like a whole orchestra when you listen to like Simple Twist of Fate or something like that, like it's just bass and guitar and you see everything, you know, it's so crazy, like, and you can't add anything more. So for me, I was like, I wanted my music to be like powerful, and I was like, well, it's all about the lyrics. And I realized it doesn't matter. It can be a bit of both. Or